On the first segment of our morning show today, we welcome our good buddy Chris Gerber in the studio. It's not too early to start talking about his second annual Marcie's Strikeout Alzheimer's event, which will happen a little bit later on this year. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Phil. How are you?
I'm doing real well.
I was just talking about it live this morning on my Facebook page. I absolutely love radio. I did it for a while when I was younger and
got smart.
Got a lot smarter. You get a lot smarter doing radio, and I have a face for radio,
Yes,
according to what my mom said. So, I'm a good-looking fella then.
Yes, you are. No, I mean, you got smart and you found another occupation.
I miss the radio sometimes. I envy you sometimes just because music is one of those things that changes people's attitude every day.
Yes, it does.
So, Marcie's second annual. The first annual was held in November last year. We raised $5,133 in a one-day event at the Phoenix Center, and the Alzheimer's Association couldn't believe quite that we raised that much with just a bunch of bowlers in Richland Center, Wisconsin. But my second annual will be November 8th. So that's Saturday, November 8th of 2025. So it's coming up soon. We're just over a month out. So it's kind of wild to me that we're there. I'm still looking for some donations. And if I don't, I don't. But I would like it if, I don't like bothering all the businesses because they get hit so hard all year. Which reminds me, I want to congratulate you guys on a great Grace event this year. And that just kind of is where it all goes. You look at our small town and what people do to step up and how they step up. It's quite amazing for the town we live in.
Yeah, it really is. Very, very fortunate that way. And as you say, you're kind of getting things in place. So you're looking for donations for the auction right now,
Yeah,
Chris?
silent auction, raffles, basket raffles. I've got started stuff in my basement already. This started right after November. I sat down and said, we're going to do a second annual, and we'll see where it goes from there. Do I see 19 annuals? I don't know. Like you guys do, it takes a lot of teamwork. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of time. I'm blessed to have a lot of friends and that kind of stuff that just call me and say, hey, Chris, we're on board. My teams that were involved last year locked in the same day. So I'm full as far as bowlers go. So the bowling entry fee all gets returned to the bowlers. So whatever they pay to bowl in the tournament, that money gets divided up in 6 places. So there's 12 teams bowling, but 6 of them are going to get some form of money, $1,000 to win, which to me brought a lot of people. And we'll go from there. But we raised $5,100 then by just people that were there, public that was there. And that's where my big push is this year is you don't have to be a bowler to come to this event. I would love you to come. I'll have Alzheimer's people there to talk about it too. If you're having problems with or you're starting to guess, come down and talk. I have people there that will talk to you for the event. So it's also educational at the same time, and we're looking really forward to it.
Refresh our listeners' memories a little bit, why you started this Marcie Strikeout event.
So Marcie is my mom. Everybody either knew her as Nana or Marcia, and she graduated here from high school, and we moved to Minnesota, and then we came back. So she was here. She was an avid bowler. She was avid with community. She liked to be out and about. And so I lost her August of 2024 to Alzheimer's. And it was by far the worst thing I've ever seen somebody go through. I've seen people go through cancer. I've seen people go through heart issues. This whole dementia Alzheimer's thing is by far, and I was her legal guardian, so it was even tougher there of trying to talk to help and then trying to get her diagnosed. That's the hard part, is getting people to test and because they're not going to the doctor, and then if they hear the news. My mom was okay with the word Alzheimer's, but when she heard dementia, she immediately thought she was going to die. And it's just how that mind works. You never know. Anger, friendly. So we hit the anger spot at the end. We hit the I'm going to run from places. So there's not a lot of secure places around here in Richland Center either. So she ended up in Hudson. So I drove 2 to 3 times a week, or 2 to 3 times a month, to Hudson, Wisconsin, to visit her. And that visit could be 5 minutes. It could be an hour. When she said it's time to go, it was just time to go. There was no, Mom, I want to. No, it was, you need to go. So I would just go. So I could be there 10 minutes. I'd drive 6 hours for 10 minutes. So that's where we started it. And I want to find a cure. There is so many more people that have come forward now with, as you can tell by the stat sheets that I gave you that we'll go over too, just the amount of people that are getting diagnosed and living with it. But then also, I was considered an unpaid caregiver. I did not collect money for it. I didn't do any of that. And that amount is gaining big time anymore because of the cost. I mean, my mom's facility was $9,000 a month. We didn't have that. It comes from the state or the federal. So then you're trying to balance her budgets, and there's, each of them gets to live off about $45 a month or something like that. And, it wasn't, but it was an awful disease. So that's why I started it. We're going to branch out this year. Some of the money is going to go to smaller organizations that are helping, such as the police department. The police department played a big role with my mom because she ran from Harvest so many times. They would have to deal with her, and they have to deal with those people and have to know. So I'm going to probably try to help out with that way as well with Project Lifesaver and other things like that.
Yeah, I've heard tell, and we've had guests in the studio talking about trying to make it an Alzheimer's friendly community, and so maybe some of the money could be used for taking those steps too. Right?
Yeah, and that was my mom. She was wandering from Harvest, so she was at Quick Trip numerous times, and nobody knows. I mean, and I'm not saying they're unfriendly, but to understand and how to deal with someone that may have that. And be wandering around, and you're wondering, well, she's probably just a little crazy. When she has a physical disease or a mental disease, can you get to your supervisor, or can you turn somebody over that way? More training. And ADRC here in town, I may be prejudiced, but they do a phenomenal job. Pam does a great job with that as far as talking about it and getting education out there. And I think that's one of the big steps here, where more businesses need to understand that somebody wandering around your store, my mom, thank God she didn't walk into any of the old houses where she grew up. Who knows what would have happened in these times? She went to every house. She kind of remembered where most of the houses where she grew up as a kid, but she wondered why none of her friends were there with their bicycles or anything else. I mean, it's that kind of mentality that they just resort back to, and you can't do anything about it.
You brought some stats, Chris, that are quite staggering, actually.
Yeah. Where do you want to start?
Well, just the number of Americans living with the disease.
Yeah, over
incredible.
7 million.
Yeah.
That's, to think about it, that's a lot of people. And to, just in Wisconsin, you're dealing with 65 or older, you're dealing with 110,000 people in 2020. And they're expecting that's going to grow by 10%. So, it's crazy that way, but then the total value of unpaid health care in Wisconsin alone was $6 billion. And when you're starting to see those kind of things and the amount of hours, and the caregivers also, if you look at it, the caregivers, 27% have depression, they figure. And because of all the stress dealing with all of that, my wife runs the ADRC, so when my mom got diagnosed, because of conflict of interest, she couldn't help me. She couldn't talk to me, nor could anybody that works under her. So now I'm dealing with the Capital Consortium out of Madison. So I have no person that I can go to in person and say, hey, I have a question with this. They couldn't help me. They're locked out. They couldn't look at her account. They couldn't. And there's some of those things that I feel need to change. Do I get it? Yes, I get it. I get that there could be helping get around financials, whatever it may be. I don't know. I don't live that way, I guess, so I don't know how to beat the system, or do I want to? I was just trying to get the best care for my mom, and it was almost impossible because my wife is very much, if that's what they say, that's what we say, so we're not dealing with it, and her workers are the same way, and I don't blame them. It's their job. It's their way to go about it, but some things need to change, and I feel research for cancer, for Alzheimer's, for all of this stuff, and it's only going to get worse. I think one of the big ones is that it's 2,300 deaths in Wisconsin, which ranks 7th. And then you see just the amount of it pancreatic cancer and a couple others combined don't total what we're going to lose with dementia/Alzheimer's. And people are looking at it as two separate things. Dementia's kind of the big umbrella. All these other things fall underneath it. So we go from there. But if you have questions, or if you're struggling, or you think that someone that you love dearly has Alzheimer's or dementia, please reach out. I look more back at what I saw of my mom, and I probably could have diagnosed it earlier. However, I know she was stubborn enough to probably not want to do anything or listen to me about it.
Yeah, a lot of moms are.
Trying to pull car keys out of somebody that's been independent all her life and she drove everywhere. Thank goodness her grandson had a little bit of persuasion, and she handed him over to him when he said it. But you have to play those angles. And if you're going to get frustrated or you're going to get upset, you're probably not the person to deal with the loved one that has Alzheimer's. You may want to sit back and let somebody that has a different angle or a different approach, because every day changes. And it's just wild to me. It was kind of like the movie Groundhog Day, where it all woke up the same, but for one person, but it was totally different for somebody else. And for her day was never the same. Mom, you can't walk away from here. Well, we all know that, but she didn't. She didn't know that she needed to stay where she was, and it was a better, safer option. She just took off. She would go to where she remembers being a kid, it was safe. Or the day she looked at me in the ER, which everybody said, Chris, wait until she forgets who you are. That was the hardest day. I was the baby in the family. She was my bowling coach, my baseball coach, my little league coach. She did everything, helped me for me. But when she looked at me and said, you look familiar. And you can't say, well, I'm your son, because she doesn't quite know. So I'm like, oh, really? And where do I remember you? You got to start. And that's where the education really comes in important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really does. And I think that's one of the goals with your whole event. Moreover, from the money aspect, it's just building awareness, Chris.
Correct. And the bowling portion of it comes in because my mom and I, that was one of our loves we had together. We could always go bowling together. I coached her. She coached me. She helped me through high school. And even when I started bowling in college, Mom was always there. She'd ask me how I was and, all of those, how things went. So the bowling aspect of it is just because that's what I love and that's what she loved. So it was our connection. So it was easy to connect that. The money raised here strictly so people can hopefully have one day where we don't go through this. I mean, and the amount of families locally, just like cancer, it reaches so many people and you don't even know. The dementia thing, just is wild to me on how many people have come forward since my event to say, my dad, or I lost my grandfather or an uncle, and it's just crazy how many people have seen and noticed and talked to me about it after, and then to see the events to where we can have education. So the main group out of Milwaukee will be coming to my event. They'll be bringing canned koozies and things like that, but they'll be there mostly for the education to help people with avenues, how to handle things. Pam will be there as well. There will be also some social workers there from ADRC set up to talk. Yes, it's a bowling event, but it is a community event, and I want to make that clear. You do not have to bowl. You do not have to be a part of the bowling whole thing here in town. Be a part of a community that wants to know more about this awful disease, and we'll get you the answers.
Right, and I think important for caregivers, too, because as a caregiver, sometimes it's like banging your head against the wall, when you're trying to, take care of somebody and then get answers on where you should go next and finances.
You can only go home and scream so many times.
Exactly.
I mean, for every time I'd get the phone call, whether I was at work, and thank gosh I got a boss that is absolutely sympathetic with this. When he was in high school, and I never knew this until this event, he worked at a facility that took care of these people when he was in high school. So at an 18-year-old, he was getting swore at, cussed at, whatever. And the next day he was getting hugs and kisses from the same people. So it was just when we get to this point, and as a caregiver, you just go home, and like those 5-minute trips to Hudson, when I'm exhausted and I get home, I could only lay in bed and cry so many times. And, with my stroke being in my mental side of things, it played games there too a little bit. But, I just, as a caregiver, you need that outreach, and you need to know, and you can talk to others, and they're going to probably say, hey, I go through similar things. Here's what I do. Here's something that I found works. And then they can share those things. And pretty soon we have a pretty good collective bargain of how to deal with issues you're handling.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. So that's coming up on the 8th of November. And in between time, you're looking for some donations of maybe some silent auction items.
Yeah, and I want to, while I'm on the air too, I want to just thank, I've got 12 lane sponsors already. I only took 12 because that's the only amount of lanes I'm using, but Lonesome Dove, Honkers, Geary Construction, Inspired Innovation, Sasinski Drywall, Rugged Altitude, D&D Express out of Lone Rock, Morris Heating and Cooling out of here in Richland Center, Klingeman Heating and Cooling out of Richland Center, Turbo's Bar, and then Wyatt Detweiler Art. They're ones that had stepped up for the lane sponsors. I called them, but I have 51 donations already, whether it's Roxanne and I or multiples from others. Others have given me multiples. So this is where I say it's a community event. We'll have framed art. We'll have home decor. I believe because of my bowling and way I've reached out to people, I've got 3 professional autographed bowling jerseys from some of the best bowlers in the world, and I'll have them there. But then I've got RotoCap, for example. UTV market is so big anymore. They're a hard tonneau cover. They sent me the cooler too. They're a $1,000 package. I have 2 of those. They'll be up for silent auction. My boss with a turn signal kit gift card. So we have stuff for everybody. And then I'll also have shirts on sale as well. None of this money goes to me. None of this goes to anybody that helps me. Thank God I got a big family that helps up and shows up. And I've got friends approaching me saying, hey, need help that day? Yeah, I need a lot of help that day selling tickets and raffles. We'll have 50-50 bucket raffles, all that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. How do we go about winning the bids?
So silent auctions will be all laid out on the table. So you walk in, write your name down, your phone number. I square up everything that day. So we're bowling by 11. Registration's at 10:30. I'll have a table set up for just raffle tickets that you can buy for the bucket raffles. They're a big ticket with your number on it, and then you keep that. And then there's 17, I think, or 15 little tickets that you'll drop in all the buckets that are available. But silent auction is strictly like you write your name down, you write what you're going to bid, and you'll go from there. But we do square everything up that day. I've got golf packages coming. I've got a lot of stuff coming. And I thank you for selling. I found out today the Twins, or the Milwaukee one, what a good year to try to sell that ticket was.
Yeah, that was an easy sell.
So whoever bought that, we'll talk about. But thank you. That money goes into the bucket. Also, if you don't want to come on November 8th, I signed up with People's Community Bank here in town, Tom Delagrave, and all of them down there, Tom Gaynor, Laura, Melby, thank you all. But you can go to any of the branches and donate. There is a Marcie Strikeout Alzheimer bank account started that I cannot touch until the event. There's no taking money out. It'll be wrote out as a check to the event when we're done there, when it's all collected. So if you don't want to donate and nobody knows your name, or if you want to be a private donator, that is a way you can do that as well. But if you're a business, reach out to me. My cell phone, 608-604-8511. If I don't recognize it, leave a message, because I don't answer about 90% of my phone calls because of all the spamming going on and whatever. But leave a message for me and I will call you back. The benefit of doing that is I advertise on my Facebook page and my mom's event page, all the sponsors. And then I leave a link. If you're on Facebook, you'll have a link that people can click on to go to your Facebook page and follow you or see your deals. So it's kind of a two-way street.
The bowling you mentioned, that's all full up then?
It is. I take 12 teams, $265 a team. But again, that all goes back with the small amount Greg charges me for bowling. But we pay $1,000 to win, $700 for second, and we pay down to 6 spots. And Greeley Signs is making me some trophies that, thank God, my kids all won, and I can donate them to them. So they're repurposing them, I guess is what we can say. I had Isaac over the other day because he was into ATV, and I said, you got to pick two that you're going to keep or three, because the rest of this stuff's going away. I just can't store it anymore. But so we'll have trophies for first and second, and then $1,000 to win. So it's a good day. And I hope a lot of people show up. I hope just public is what it takes to make it happen, because my goal this year is 10,000.
Oh, good. And is that a Saturday or a Sunday?
Saturday.
It's a Saturday.
All day Saturday. It should be a great time. I believe I've got it I got Clay Porter. I'm waiting for him, Sheriff Clay Porter. My son has a canine here in town, so there may be a canine demonstration as well. We'll see how that goes. But, Raven, my mom was extremely impressed when Isaac became a deputy. And like I said, when Isaac told Grandma it was time to quit driving, she finally listened. She argued with her son because it wasn't time. But when Gran said, Grandma, I think it's time. And that was a hard time, but she handed the keys over. And thank him for that. But so now he's made another thing she'd be really proud of to see with Raven. And we'll hopefully have a demonstration from Raven that day. So it's going to be not just bowling. That's where I want people to understand. This is not just bowling. My mom's favorite drink was brandy old fashioned, so I'm guessing there'll be a few of them poured out throughout the day. We'll go from there. But great lunches always at the bowling alley. They'll do some form of lunch special. Last year it was Sloppy Joe's, something quick and easy, so you don't have to spend all day there. But if you want to come down and win some great prizes, and if you want to be involved, you can text me at that number too, and if you're on Facebook, I'll gladly invite you. I only invited my friends to the event because it's the only easiest way to do it. But if you want to be invited and you want to see what's all involved, it's all on my events page for my mom.
Sounds like you got all your ducks in a row, Chris.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in to see us today.
No problem. Thanks, Phil.
And we'll talk about it as it gets closer to the event, but I think it's important to get it on today and let people know what's going on.
And like I said, 608-604-8511 will get you in touch with me, and we'll go from there.
Got nice shirts, too.
Yeah, you got the hot one off the press.
Look at that.
There is nobody else that has one of them in the public right now.
Wow.
You're the only one.
I like it. Yeah, it looks good. It's got the purple on there.
Yeah, it's got the purple, and then on the back it says, "Don't stop believing in a cure." So we came up with, I was working with a company that out of Aiken where I grew up. And Bethany Gravel knocked it out of the park at Shirts Plus. It's Shirts Plus in Aiken. We've got great people here as well. But Bethany stepped up because I grew up there. I graduated from Aiken in high school, and she said, "Chris, I just took over the shirt company. I'd love to have your business. We do something?" And she came up with the whole design and everything. And it's a knocked out of the park shirt. Those will be available for $25 as well at the event. So until they're gone. I've got about 40 of them or 45 of them that won't be spoken for.
That's a nice bowling shirt.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So I hope to see everybody. Like I said, I've got 48 bowlers for sure. But it's after that, I will be looking for the public to show up and learn more about Alzheimer's.
Good luck. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Phil.
You bet. Chris Gerber joining us, talking about the second annual Marcie's Strikeout Alzheimer's event.